Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I thought it would be a great idea to share with you all my luxury coffee table book collection. Now, I've been a fan of coffee table books for quite a few years now, and I just love the aesthetic and look of them. I feel like you can do so much with them. And you'll see I have some that are vintage, I have some that are still for sale that you can purchase, and they're just great books to have around because if you like fashion, you like luxury, they're interesting to look at. Their whole aesthetic, it just adds a special touch, like a elevated touch to your home decor. So I have some that are like bright pops of color that are very bold. I have others that are more subdued, that kind of match any room in any house basically. And to be honest, most of my coffee table books are about either watches. I really have a lot on watches and fashion. There are some others. Full disclaimer before we begin though, I do speak English and French where I'm from, so some of the books, most of them are in English. I do have a couple in French. If I do, most of the time the French versions, there is an English equivalent to the book. Most of the time it was written in English to begin with. So I will leave the English version in the description box. Basically, I will leave all the information and links to purchase the books in the description box below. So without further ado, let's get started. So my first coffee table books are the little Book of, and they're just tiny little books like this, not that heavy, not that big, that cover different fashion houses. So I have the little Book of Dior. I also have Schiaparelli, I have Gucci, Prada, and Valentino. I find these do not take up that much space, so they're very easy to like incorporate in your home decor. And I feel like they look really great. Well, I basically purchased them for that reason. They look really great stacked and stacked like this and paired with like either a candle or a vase of like flowers or a plant over it. They look really cute. They're great books if you're just starting your coffee table collection, just because they're not that expensive. They're very inexpensive for coffee table books. However, I will say though that you kind of get what you pay for. I mean, they're not the best quality books. They look really cute though, so that didn't stop me from purchasing mine. But as you can see, especially the Valentino one, it's kind of getting faded from and it hasn't really been even directly placed in the sun, but just at certain times of the day, the sun kind of does hit the books. And this one, if you compare the spine of the book to like the actual cover, it is very faded. It's the only one that has actually done that, so maybe it's just an imperfection of the Valentino book cover, but I thought it was worth mentioning. There are many other designers available of this collection. So I've seen Bottega Veneta, Chanel, Louis Vuitton. I do not have all of them. These are the 5 I have. I'm not sure if I will be adding to this collection or not, but I'm pretty content with my little stack that I have right now. So my next one is a huge pop of color. I don't usually go for this type of red, but like my husband and I are really big Rolex fans, and I just thought it was a really cool book. And honestly, I've kind of managed to integrate this like red color into my home decor. It actually doesn't look, well, I actually like the way it looks. So it's not a book I would aesthetically usually gravitate towards, but I'm really happy I bought it. It is a very interesting book though. They tell you everything you need to know about Rolex. So how to spot a fake Rolex to their different, like their most popular models, like the Explorer, GMT, so on and so forth. I really do like this book because on the inside, there are a bunch of pictures of like vintage Rolexes and vintage Rolex ads. It's just a very cool book to like look through. There are some of these books that I have read from cover to cover. This is not one of them. I have kind of read just little excerpts here and there, but what really gets me and interests me in this book is really the pictures of the Rolexes that I didn't even know existed until purchasing this book. And they're kind of little tidbits on like, especially like how to spot a fake Rolex, and like when you purchase a Rolex, what comes with your purchase. There's just a bunch of little insider fun facts and tidbits in this book. So my next book is the Cartier Untamed. This is actually a vintage one that was given to me. I don't believe they make it anymore, but I do know you can buy it pre-owned or used. I will try to find some links of used versions and place them in the description box. But I really do love this book. This is probably, I have a few, maybe one or two, well, more than one for sure, Cartier coffee table books, and this is by far my favorite. It's not that thick, it's not that heavy either, but I just love, it's all black and white, and basically there are a bunch of pictures inside of models and famous actresses and stars wearing like these extravagant Cartier jewels and like posing with like some wild animals, such as, I feel like there are snakes in here, elephants, zebras, some kind of like cheetah or jaguar, baby jaguar. And it's just like really cool. There's not much text in this one, but it's really the photos that make the book very special. And you know, I've looked at this book from cover to cover and the pictures are just sublime. They're just beautiful to look at and very, very interesting. It is more of a discussion piece, so it's something to flip through with your friends or family or whatever and just like look at the different pictures and discuss. And it's just about being blown away by beautiful photography and extravagant jewels. My next one is a very classic and like popular one. It's the Chanel Collections and Creations. I mean, this is my first coffee table book. This is what really got me started and into these coffee table books as decor pieces. And I mean, this book has been everywhere. It's all over Instagram. It has been all over Pinterest. And it's just a very classic book to have. It looks very beautiful in kind of any room and stacked with any type of book. It's so subtle and like black and white. I mean, how classic is that? I have read this book cover to cover. It's very interesting. I really did learn a lot about Chanel, but basically this book just delves into like the 5 classics that has made Chanel the fashion house it is today, as well as how these 5 classics, so the flap, the little camellia flower, the Chanel number 5, so on and so forth, how they have revolutionized and changed the fashion game or world. So it's very interesting to read. The pictures are also great, and I did mention the little book of fashion houses are great starters. This is also a great alternative if you're just starting your coffee table book collection. So my next one is another Cartier one. This one is also vintage and was given to me. So this one is a collector's piece. It is limited edition. It's Le Temps de Cartier. So this one is in French. I tried finding it online in English. Obviously it's not sold anymore. I had no luck. I will continue my search, and if I do find the English version, I will put in the description box. If not, I'll try to put some French versions, the same like I have, in the description box. Obviously, they will be pre-owned or from used websites, but this is another great book. I mean, this one is all about the Cartier watches and timepieces, and the pictures in here are just sublime. There are just so many watches and like other types of like pocket watches and timepieces that I had no idea even existed. When you think about it, Cartier has been around for a really long time, like over 100 years. So some of their older models and like watches, I had no idea even what they look like. And what I really do love about their watches, and it's very apparent through this book, is that a lot of times they do look like jewelry and like pieces of jewelry. I'm usually not a fan of like watches with diamonds just because I feel like they kind of look not fake, but like it's not really my style. It's a little too loud for me. But the way Cartier does it, especially in their like more vintage days, it's just beautiful. They're really like works of art. And I find that this book really showcases that. And it also, because of the green color, it does add a little bit of a pop of color. So it is color without being too much or too bright, kind of like the Rolex one was really a pop of color. This one is more subtle, but at the same time, it does add some color to your home decor. Next, I have another watch one, and this one is, it's from Omega. It's from Seamaster to Seamaster, and it basically takes you on a journey of like the evolution of the Seamaster. For those of you who don't know, the Seamaster is one of their most popular or famous watches. It's basically the watch that not James, but that Pierce Brosnan wore in the James Bond movies. And this book, I mean, it's more of like an art piece. It just feels so luxurious. The cover of the book is kind of like in like a canvas material, and the paper is so thick, so crisp. It's really great. And what I do love, I don't know if you guys can see, but as you can see, the book takes you, it starts off dark and just kind of ombres into white. So the front of the cover is black. The back of the cover is just simple white, and all the pages inside do go from black to white. There is not much text in this book. It's mostly photos of Seamasters, and you do get a little bit of text. Obviously, they do kind of describe the evolution of the Seamaster, but it's just a beautiful like photography and close-ups of watches, or of a Seamaster basically, and it's just a great like art piece to have in your home. So my next book, it's another watch book. I told you I had a lot of watch books, probably more so than fashion ones, but this one is The Watch Thoroughly Revised, and it's basically like an anthology of like the biggest like players in the watch world. So in here we have anyone from Breguet, Bulova, we have also Rolex, Cartier. So basically they kind of just place the designers, or not the designers, but like the watchmakers in alphabetical order, and they just kind of like describe to you the company and how they came to be. They mentioned some of their most popular watches and what they're known for, and there's also a lot of great pictures in here. But this is it's basically just, like I mentioned, an anthology of like the biggest names in the watch world. The next one I really love is 50 Fashion Legends, and basically visually it's very cute. It's kind of like cartoony, and like there's like different caricatures of like famous designers. The side is really pretty. It's just black and white, so it's very, very classic. But this book I had so much fun reading. Honestly, I bought it more to read than to actually like display in my house, but finally I would just like pick it up and read, and it would just hang around everywhere in my house. That like, it kind of does make a very cute and quirky like decor piece. So what it is basically the different like 50 basically fashion legends that have like influenced the fashion world. It's basically just like a visual biography, or I should say timeline, of their lives and careers. So it's very easy to read. It's a very quick read, and basically they kind of like place the designers in chronological order, like of their birth date. So we start with like, let's say Coco Chanel, that was born in the like early 1900s, maybe, I don't remember by heart, and then it goes all the way through to the last one in the book is Riccardo Tisci. So I guess he's the youngest designer in this book. But basically it's just very interesting, very fun to read, and like you can't go wrong. So my next one is a fashion book, and it is in French. Let me just get the title because it's very long, so I'm gonna have to read it off the book. Ces accessoires qui ont révolutionné la mode. So basically they do have the English version. Basically it's a book about different fashion accessories, or either articles of clothing that have like revolutionized and changed the fashion world. So in here we have anything from like the Burberry trench coats to Levi's jeans. We also have Ray-Ban in here. So just basically those staple pieces that are so timeless and classic, and like that honestly everyone should have in their closet. I do like the book, the way it looks. I like the black color with like the little pops of orange and pink. I find it looks very chic, and it kind of matches any room, to be honest, even though it does have some color. In English, the book is called A Matter of Fashion, and I honestly do like the cover better. The cover is a little different. They basically have a black and white photo, that famous photo of Grace Kelly hiding her baby bump with a Kelly bag. So they have it in black and white, and the Kelly bag is in kind of like an orangey tan color. So it looks very cool, very glamorous. I do really like that cover more. Had I known that the English version had that cover, I probably would have gone for that one. I mean, it's such an iconic photo, and how great would it look just like sitting on the coffee table. I, however, still enjoy my book. I don't regret it, and I have read here and there little like excerpts of the book. It's very interesting to read. So my next book is the book to have for all like watch enthusiasts. this book, whereas the other one I showed you, the Watch Thoroughly Revised, was kind of like more informative. It would talk about the different like watchmakers. This one's more of like a passion book, and like it's for like the real enthusiasts. So obviously I did not choose this book. It's more my husband who chose this one. I did agree with it because I find it such a cool book to have. It looks really great. And honestly, I did start reading it and it is very interesting. So let me tell you a bit about what the book is about. So basically, there are like different men who were chosen to be in the book. And these men are either famous or known in the watch world or just not at all. And they talk about their favorite watches and like their passion for the watch world and different timepieces. And they basically just really talk about that one watch that like made them who they are, if you will, or like that really like had a very special place in their heart. So it is very interesting, and honestly, they're not all luxury big watches. I mean, there's like, I've seen a Swatch one in here. We have the Winnie the Pooh Sears catalog. You do have some Rolexes. I think Paul Newman is in this one for his Daytona. So it's a mix of a little bit of everything, and you can really see that how passionate some people are about watches. What I really do like about this book as well is, as you can see the cover, you kind of see the crown of a watch. You pull it out. The front of the book is basically the front of a watch, and on the back you have like the back of that same watch. And this one, if I'm not mistaken, is the Rolex Oyster Chronograph, the Daytona one. I think this is the one that Paul Newman wore, and like Joanne, I guess his wife or girlfriend, kind of gifted it to him. So it's just a very cool book to read and to have, and like if you are a watch enthusiast, you probably already have this in your collection. So we do have another watch book. This one is the Breguet Art and Innovation in Watchmaking. And as you can see, I do gravitate towards like black and white covers just because they look great stacked together and they look great in any room. This one is about Breguet and their like timepieces. Very informative. I didn't know much about Breguet. I had heard of them, but I didn't know much about them before getting this book. And honestly, I did learn a lot, and the pictures in here are very good as well. We do have some pictures of like some old pocket watches. It's just very interesting for those who do enjoy like those vintage types of timepieces and watches or clocks. It's just a very interesting book to look at, and like this brand has been around like so long, maybe even before Cartier. I'm not really sure, I don't really remember, but like it's been a lot. It has a lot of history, a lot of heritage, and I feel like this book kind of captures that. So my next book is not about watches. It's the Mercedes-Benz Une fabuleuse histoire. So this one is in French. They do have the English equivalent. It was released in 2006, however, so I don't think you can buy it new anymore. I have seen them pre-owned or used, so I'll put some of those links in the description box below. So this one is a car book. I don't have any. This is my first car book. And honestly, I really like this book because they really do take you through like the history and the story of Mercedes-Benz. And it's filled of like photos of like vintage cars, and just, it takes you back to another time. So it's very interesting to look at, to read. And you do kind of like learn a lot about Mercedes-Benz. I, for one, did not know much about the brand. I mean, I know what Mercedes-Benz, what it is. It's a car brand, but their whole story, I did not know much about, and I learned some pretty interesting facts in here. But at the same time, it also looks great just laying on a coffee table. So you get the best of both worlds with this book. So my last book is probably one of my favorites, and this one is all about handbags. It's called Handbags, A Love Story. I purchased this book a few years ago, believe it or not, in the Kensington Palace souvenir shop. Really the last place on earth I would expect to find a coffee table book, and one that I love this much. Basically, I have read this one cover to cover. I love it so much. I'm completely in love. It's basically, yes, it's all about handbags, but they kind of put like the designers and fashion houses known for like their handbags in alphabetical order. So let's say you have Fendi for F, and then they'll tell you all about like the Fendi baguette. We'll have Hermes for H, and there'll be everything you need to know about like the Birkin and the Kelly, since they're the two most popular bags from the fashion house. So it's very interesting. The pictures are great. I did learn a lot about like different handbags that some of that I didn't really know before. I mean, they do have Nancy Gonzalez in here that I kind of like forgot about, and some other like more or lesser known designers. So it's a very interesting book. You do learn a lot, and the pictures are obviously great. Some ads like I remember looking at as a kid when I was flipping through like my mom's Vogues. So it's a great book to have in your collection. The colors are great. They look great just sprawled. It looks great just sprawled onto like a coffee table. You do have that pop of color, kind of like it's like the same red as the Rolex. So I usually do like stack them together and they look so good. But I'm sure this book, although it does look great and makes a great coffee table book, you'll actually enjoy reading if handbags is your thing. So that's all for today, guys. Those are all my luxury coffee table books. Yes, I do have a lot, but like I said, I have them scattered a little bit everywhere in my house. I really do like the look and aesthetic of coffee table books just because they kind of just elevate or just add a little something different to your home decor. And basically when I choose what coffee table book to add to my collection or to get, I basically look at three things: the aesthetic, so basically the physical. You know how they say don't judge a book by its cover? Well, not in this case. So in this case, I go with like the cover of the book, either the cover or the spine. Those are two very important details because you either always see the spine or the front cover. I also go with like topics that interest me. So you won't find a book about like, I don't know what I'm not into. You won't find a book about like laptops in my house just because I'm not very, I mean, I use my laptop. I use technology, but it's not my passion. So they're basically like things or topics that interest me. And basically, I also look at like the content of the book as well. I mean, it has to have like somewhat of either interesting content to read or beautiful photographs. So one or the other, both ideally. So they have to, like, those three criteria are very important to me when I do choose a coffee table book. It's not just all about the way it looks, but also like the content inside. And I feel like they're great discussion pieces. I've had people come over and like I've had a couple stacked on my living room coffee table, and we've just like discussed the different pictures or like fashion houses or so on and so forth. So they're very beautiful, but they also do make great discussion pieces. I hope you enjoyed. Leave me your feedback. If you do have any questions, I will be sure to answer. Don't forget, I will leave links in the description box below. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.